So he's being dishonest with his partner right now because he's trying to be someone that he's not, rather than just claiming he is a certain type of person and he's living up to being that certain type of person. So, that's an example. Now let's take it back to her. How has she failed in this evolution of their relationship over the course of the year, allowing this to happen? For, the cat came back the very next day, right? She kicks out the cat comes back, and she accepts the cat. Why? So I have to ask her that question. Why? What is it about your standards, your values, and your boundaries that are misaligned here? Why are you not drawing the line in the sand? Why was it not drawn from the moment that you saw this happening? Welcome to I Think I Can podcast. My name is Luella Young. I am a woman who believes that we, like wine, get better with age. Age brings us wisdom, intuition, and a level of sophistication that is beyond the reach of youth. I am here to tell you that living a luxuriously rich and fulfilling life is in your reach. I Think I Can podcast will teach you to think differently in order to get different results. Allow me to show you how to do life effortlessly. This podcast is for the woman who is tired of playing by the rules of society, community, religion, parents, and partners. I Think I Can is all about becoming brave, authentic, purposeful, and strong. Listen weekly and you will find yourself living a life you could have only once dreamed of. Thoughts drive our physiology. So channel your thoughts with me into a life truly worth living. Enjoy the show. Hello, welcome back to I Think I Can podcast. And today you have me, a solo episode. And I'm going to start by mentioning that an idea came to my mind this morning. I want to create some sort of group for individuals. I'm guessing it's going to be mainly women in this group, but men are actually more than welcome when I think of it, because it would probably be highly focused on relationships, but not solely focused on relationships. I mean, I think we have to think about building good relationships being the byproduct of building a good you, right? It's starting from you and the person that you are and how you show up in the world, your aura about you, your energy about you, and all that is with you is what is attracted towards you. So if you don't know this about me, I'll claim it right now that I'm a huge believer of creating your life, co-creating it with the universe, claiming what you want your life to be and living with that creation, that visualization that you have. I highly believe that we have the power to do this, and we don't tap into it enough. There's this quote used by Bob Proctor. Maybe he even created it. I don't think so. I think it was one of the masters before him, but what you hold in your head, you can hold in your hand. In other words, thought is incredibly powerful, and we can manifest, the life we want. So getting back to this idea of creating a group for like-minded individuals who also see this the same way as I do, I believe it would be some sort of membership. and I'm just playing around with it right now. So if you're listening to this and if it's something that you would be interested in knowing a little bit more about, once this episode is published, it will you will likely I will likely have more information. So you can do that by going to my website, sending an email to me or my assistant, or DMing me on social media, um, leaving a comment on YouTube, wherever you might be seeing or listening to this. I would appreciate it. But for very little money, in terms of a membership, it would be meeting something like twice a month. I'm thinking on Zoom and having powerful discussions. That's what I'm envisioning, sort of like creating a group consciousness, collective consciousness of having, we all want to better ourselves. So that's really what the focus of this would be. Um, and the other thing I'm going to mention is just so, if you are enjoying my podcast, please, I know you hear it everywhere, every podcast you listen to about the importance of reviews, but it really does make a huge difference leaving, whatever review you like, or just hitting 5 stars it's incredibly helpful. So I appreciate that. All righty. So another thing, I mean, all these things happen in the shower in the morning, right? Like, I mean, I start my, I was going to say this is another announcement, but I start my morning off usually just sitting in contemplative thought, whether that's meditative thought, maybe that's prayer, maybe that's, um, yeah, just being with myself. And that's where all the great ideas come, is when you quiet the mind and you let the heart sing and you let your soul sing and you let, visualization happen. And I know not all of us have that time in the morning, although some can argue, you can get up earlier, but I understand that there's certain seasons and phases in life. And um I don't remember a whole lot of those busy times with young children, to be honest with you. I don't know if I repress it or if it's just that I don't think it's conscious suppression or subconscious suppression. It's more like there's only so much energy that a person has throughout a day. And if you're in that doing masculine, getting things done, what we call badass, female energy, you're just sort of in a survival mode. And if you're in, and doing means using the mind a lot, because the mind executes action, right? It tells the muscles to do this and do that. And it's the manager, it's the top manager. And if it's in all that doing energy, then there's no time for reflective thought. There's little time for being in the moment and being able to receive all the beauty that there is around you, right? There's those moments where you look into your children's eyes and watch them sleeping, or those moments of cuddling on the couch, or the moments of seeing their little feet, holding their hand as you cross a road or on the way to the park, or, seeing their eyes light up when you see that they're tapping into their imagination. I mean, those moments, 100%. And those moments are really, as I think about this, is moments of connection. And when there's the moments of connection, you're going to have a hormone called oxytocin secreted and flowing, you know, profusely throughout you. Those same moments of connection could be the first time you met your partner, moments of being with your partner, in the honeymoon stages of your relationship. You have that memory. And that's what I mean. That type of memory is still there. It's still deep in the subconscious because it's a very it left you with a lot of impact, and oxytocin will do that 100%. But those moments of connection, those moments, I would say, of receiving those codes, those insights, those thoughts, that type of energy is there. It's very difficult to have those moments when you're doing your taxes, or you're at the hockey arena, making supper, and all the kids are screaming, and bringing your car in for a tune up or whatever, right? Like, it's really difficult. So that's why building these moments of downtime in your life, of deep reflective thought, is so important. And that's what the shower is for in the morning. So for God's sakes, I just always think, like, sometimes I hear of people, having music blasting, while in the shower, or it's sort of like, give your mind some time throughout the day to just be quiet and be alone. That's the best gift you can give yourself. For men, I think it's often, I think, driving. They get into, a flow state, where they zone out. Hopefully that's on a long, desolate highway and not mid traffic, to zone out. We don't want that. But anyway, you know where I'm going. So, wow, this is not really starting off the way I thought, but you know, I guess that's okay. What I really Okay, what came out in the shower, besides having the group membership, was also having a solo episode. I'm going to try to do this about once a month. No promises on that, but that's my intention that I'm putting out there right now. And it's going to be, let's just call it a soup pot. Let's just call it cleaning out the crisper, and a mesh of a bunch of different things. Okay, so I'm going to talk about relationships because that's what I'm trying to focus on. January, February, March is relationships. And in April, I would like to get more into, I guess we could say, relationship with self, because it's going to be all about allowing yourself to receive, allowing yourself to take care of your body through nutrition, through movement, through reflection, through meditation, through prayer, through connection. And, it's still all kind of funnels down to relationships, because, like I said right in the beginning, you work on yourself, you have better relationships. You work on yourself, you have more abundance in your life. You work on yourself, and miracles happen around you. So let's talk a little bit about what came up this week, in particular with my couples. Let's start about trust. On trust, okay? If you've read any posts that I've had on social media, or seen any of some, like, free master classes that I've held, I talk about trust a lot, because unfortunately it's sort of, for a lot of individuals, which is super unfortunate, it's been broken, it's been fragmented, it's been, how would I say, like, soiled. It's not pure anymore. It's not pure trust that you would have been birthed with, that you had from the moment of birth. It's, when you think of it, like, you trusted your parents so much, right? You trusted that they came to you when you were crying. You trusted that they that they were going to feed you. It was all built on trust. So how does that change over a lifetime? Well, mainly, I mean, when you're young, we know it's conditioning, right? Conditioning of society, your parents. I shouldn't say when you're young. Society continues to condition us, but parental conditioning mainly when we're young, teachers, extended family, friends. So, and mainly, okay, so for one woman in particular that came in, um, she mentioned that she's having a lot of difficulty trusting her partner because her partner has been lying to her um, pretty consistently. So it's a two-way street, okay? Because it's not all about him. It's about how is she allowing this to happen? Because it's been a year that they've been together, and she's telling me that it's been happening throughout the entire year. And the reason why they landed, with me is because they had a huge blowout because it happened once again. So he was lying about the substance abuse that he was um, partaking in. But he's sort of been dishonest all his life, and he clearly confessed to this. So we went down to the root of that. Why is it that you felt, as a young child, you had to be dishonest? So I won't get into the reads here with that, but like it's stemming from certain things that happened in his childhood where he did not feel worthy enough as he was. So he was trying to be someone that he's not, and gaining attention in ways that put him in very uncomfortable positions, you could say, um, dangerous positions with drugs, trafficking drugs, using drugs. And so, of course, since grade 7, when he first partook in drug use, um, he's had to lie. He's had to lie to his parents. He had to lie, you can imagine the amount of dishonesty that he's been accustomed in having in his life because of that addiction. So, and then that transforms always to other addictions. Even if he's tapered off that one addiction, it usually falls into another addiction until you do the inner work that you need to, and identifying you as someone who is worthy of love, just as you are right now, not that you need to be a certain person. So what I'm getting at here, there's always a story. Always a story why you are the person who you are. Some people have no idea how that has come about, but for many people, even when you do shine the light on, and it can be done really easily just in the session that we had, it's like that's where the work begins, though. It's not where the work ends. It's like, okay, now that I know, how do I get out of this, right? um this belief that I still have to act as a young child, for example, and like that I'm still living in my childhood. I still feel like I need to prove myself or be a different person, and therefore I must be dishonest. So he's being dishonest with his partner right now because he's trying to be someone that he's not, rather than just claiming he is a certain type of person and he's living up to being that certain type of person. So, that's an example. Now let's take it back to her. How has she failed in this evolution of their relationship over the course of the year, allowing this to happen? for, the cat came back the very next day, right? She kicks out the cat comes back, and she accepts the cat. Why? So I have to ask her that question. Why? What is it about your standards, your values, and your boundaries that are misaligned here? Why are you not drawing the line in the sand? Why was it not drawn from the moment that you saw this happening? The first time you realized he's using this type of drug as often as he is, because it happened very early in her relationship. It's not like it happened on month 7. It happened probably the third time, they were out together, or maybe it was the second time, or whatever it was. So, of course, as all women tell me, they want to give this person a second chance because they see the beauty in this person, which is lovely, right? I mean, isn't that a lovely thing to do? How wonderful is she? What benevolence, to give this person another chance. But really, like, she's saying that she doesn't like she's like she has a certain standard about drug use, and she doesn't want it in her life. She doesn't want it in her world. And she's stating that as, a non-option in her life, that if this happens, we're not happening. She's saying that, but what kind of boundary does she have? An incredible, loose boundary, because she keeps on taking him back. It's like that line in the sand. It's like, I think you've heard me use this analogy. Some kid has ran over that section of sand on the beach over and over, and there's no line there anymore. There's no line. So, of course, like, what kind of message is this giving this guy? I, I'm dishonest. I break my promise to her. She's angry for a few days. We get back together. And there goes the cycle. So they're not aligned, the standards and the boundaries. If you're going to put, well, and this is the other thing that happened. I mean, then I think women tend to kind of get into sort of like a real badass kind of energy. And they say, look, I'm done. This is it. This is my boundary, and they do some really crazy things in that moment where, threatening and kind of getting to a really, let's just call it like not their higher self, right? Like just like a very ugly state of energy at that point. And they do things that are yeah, just not in alignment of their true self. So then they say that they have strict boundaries, but their values and their standards are super low, right? Because they're saying in a sense that they are okay with that because I keep on taking you back. So I had to explain to her, you can't have this misalignment between your standards and your boundaries. They have to be, you have to have high standards and therefore high boundaries. So the conversation should instead, okay, like I said, it became very ugly. It became very threatening on her part. She tends to run. She tends to, be MIA when these things happen. She just is gone. Like no response from her, can't find her, running away from the scene, selling all the furniture, et cetera, right? Like, like pretty bold moves that she makes. That's not right either, right? Because what I explained, and I hate using the word should, but what I would love her to do instead is to tap into her worth and realize that she is worthy of having a much more, you know, beautiful, respectful relationship, that she's worthy of that. And these are wounds in her childhood, right? That makes her believe, and I'm not going to get into the details of her childhood, but makes her believe that she is not worthy as she is right now to be respected in a relationship and to have these high standards. So, as I explained to her, the way to lead yourself through this conversation, instead of making some big regretful moves and getting to that ugly energy, the craziness, is to instead say, hey, you know, I have these standards in my life that I live up to. I don't partake in substance abuse because I believe in, you know, using other tools to take away, you know, any pain that I'm having right now, whether that be boredom, whether that be sadness or hurt or disappointment. I like the idea of using other tools. And these are the tools that I use. I don't want to distract myself with substances because that's never going to get to the root of the problem. That's never going to solve things. It's just a moment of distracting myself from, you know, what is there instead. So I have certain values, and you behaving this way is not in alignment to my standards. And I spoke to you about my boundary with this before, and I I see that you're not honoring it, and it hurts a lot for me to say this because I love you and I see all the beauty in your heart, and I really want you to get the help you need, but this is it. You know, I would love for you to see this similarly as I do so that we can have this life together, but I will not continue to be disrespected in this way. I'm not available for this type of behavior that I'm seeing in you, and I would love so deeply if you could, you know, go on this self-healing journey. Get the help that you need. I am more than willing to support you in that, and blah blah blah. I shouldn't say blah blah blah, but you know what I mean. So that's something that um I mean, I see a lot, and I see a lot also with, this is how resentment is built over the course of many, many years, in relationships, especially when you have young children. This whole, not having these conversations, not talking about your standards and your values around dishonesty, around substance use, around, not having the time to connect that you would like to have with your partner, maybe about issues about, putting the children before the marriage, maybe, um, you know, your partner always being extremely tired because they've been putting way too much energy into their work, and therefore extremely grumpy, and therefore, it's sort of like having these types of conversations early in your relationships and not being scared about saying, this is how I envision our relationship. Like, these are the standards. This is extremely important for me. Like, don't be scared about saying that. Because what happens instead is, if you keep quiet about this, or you let the hurt like just sort of almost like, evaporate off your body, like not allowing it to sink, but letting it, like water off a duck's back sort of thing, then you're going to be closing yourself off as a person and becoming, closed off in a shell. And you're closing, you're not able to receive, love and worth and adoration. You're not able to receive, and you're not able to give. And you shut off from the world. You go into this protective shell because it's too painful. And I mean, I see this a lot. Like it's not like after 5, 10, 15 years of marriage, 20 years of marriage, having young kids, none of the resentment that's brought into the room when they come into me has happened overnight. It's happened over years and years and years of the pain. And one or both partners start to lose themselves. Like they don't even know who they are anymore because they've shut themselves off from the world. They haven't been able to create themselves. They haven't been able to create, like step into the creative energy, step into, dreaming and imagination and, bliss, really, because their energy is all stuck inside them. It's closed off. And that's a really, really sad state to be. So I'm going to end it on this resentment piece because I want to build from this maybe next time. I'm going to make a note and diarize this, but we are going to talk more about resentment next time. I have free masterclasses on these topics too. I've done a masterclass on trust. I've done a masterclass on resentment, and these are free. I have other ones that I've done, female and male energetics, what that really means. That's all available to you if you reach out, and I would be happy to share that with you. So yeah, let's stop there. And when we step into the soup pot in the future weeks, we can speak more about resentment, trust. I would like to talk about the use of pornography. It's something that's come up a lot, about sexual desires and how we feel. Most partners feel like they're not meshed in their sexual desires and their need for sexual activity, etc., and how that has become a huge wedge in their relationship. Those are all other things we get to speak on. Okay. So thanks for your time today, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye. Thanks once again for joining me on another great episode of I Think I Can podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next week, treat each day like it was your last, because each new day is a privilege that we shan't take for granted. Cheers and have a great week. Bye-bye.